we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. At 1 minute to 1 o'clock, and given the festive ambience of the VFW Hall in Fridley, it's with some reluctance that we turn to Jack Pine Bob Carey out in Fridley, accompanied by Pinkus Zuckerman, I think. Jack Pine Bob?
Well, David, what you heard was a chorus of hearts and flowers for all of the losers. And one of the losers is not going to be David Durenberger, at least not here at the VFW Club. There's considerable feeling about Durenberger. But we do have one of the big losers in the campaign, Jack Pine Bob Carey. And Bob, I'm wondering for all of the losers, how is it? What's that feeling like to lose by 53 million votes?
Well, I've got a lot of company tonight. I think the country was very concerned about unemployment, you see. And the president said stay the course. And I think the country voted to stay the course, but they're going to let a lot of Republican politicians stay the course unemployed right with them.
Bob, I kind of think of a way to sum it all up. We've listened to millions of words, and politicians have spent millions of dollars on this campaign. Will the Republic survive, and how about the great state of Minnesota?
Oh, we'll survive all right. I think, I'll tell you something. There was, you kind of look at it like this. Elections come and go, and politicians come and go, but the deer season in Minnesota opens the first Saturday in November every year, and that's where I'm going to be next Saturday, is out deer hunting.
Well, David, there you have it. It's about the best I can do from Fridley's VFW Club. Politicians come and go, but the deer hunting season, well, it goes on forever. So, David, from the VFW Club, good night.
I think you've done very well, Dave, and you're going to get a merit award when you return. And give our best to Jack Pine Bob.
Thank you.
I think the three of us have all been replaced in the 1984 election by David Nimmer and Jack Pine Bob Carey.
Well, you know,
a couple of beers at the VFW.
He didn't mention, though, that the deer population is down this year.
That's true.
By 6 percentage point, with only about 9 precincts having been heard from.
And we'll have a computer vote total on that, too.
It's 1 minute, 20 seconds after 1 a.m. We're going to close things out here at Computer Vote Headquarters, except if you care to stay for the rest of the evening, we are going to keep you posted silently on the U.S. Senate race between David Durenberger and Mark Dayton.
No, we'll keep you posted with audio, too.
Oh, would we? All right.
We'll talk about that throughout the course
Well,
of the
and I
evening.
would also like to think in the 1st Congressional District, in that race between Tom Hagedorn and Tim Penny, and in the state auditor race, between the incumbent Republican Arnie Carlson and the DFL challenger.
And the
Paul
Sikorsky-Urdahl one, I
Wilson.
would guess, too.
Oh, the Ramsey County Attorney. Well, I guess there are several here.
No 6th District Congress.
But for the knots,
Attorney? Yeah.
for the knots, we are going home. Thank you, Pat and Skip. And, of course, collectively, we extend our thanks to all of the fine control data personnel for their forbearance and patience, and most of all, for their kind equipment tonight. Thank you for being with us for Computer Vote Total.
Good night.
At WCCO Television, we take pride in the fact that our weather center is equipped with state-of-the-art technology for predicting the weather. But we don't think you watch a weathercast to see an overabundance of charts and graphs. You watch to get the weather. And from now on, our 10 p.m. report will be bringing you a more concise, no-nonsense approach to weather coverage. Join us for the new 10 p.m. report on WCCO Television. News for thinking people.
Winner. He was talking like a winner, but his message to his supporters was it's still too early to tell, it's still too tight to tell, and this is going to be something that goes down to the wire into the wee hours of the morning, which leads us to where we are right now, waiting for Senator Durenberger.
Annie, have you been talking at all to the Durenberger staff in the last few minutes? Has this slightly increasing margin given them some reason to go up and recommend to the candidate that he comes down and say, it's won, I've done it?
Skip, I'm sorry, I'm having a slight problem hearing you. Repeat that for me.
I was wondering if you've talked to any of the Durenberger staff people in the last few minutes, since the margin has seemed to open up to that 52 to 48 percentage point, to the point where they're willing to say to the candidate, you've done it, go out there and declare victory no matter what.
Well, they're being very reserved about it. The margin was increasing for Durenberger toward the middle part of the evening and toward the later evening hours, and I think the Durenberger staff is being quite reserved, optimistic, broad smiles, but nobody is saying we've won, and that's the tenor of the campaign this entire evening.
Tom Horner is going to play it diplomatically, I take it.
Very diplomatic, as has Senator Dave Durenberger.
Do you have any indication at this point of how long it may be before he actually emerges into that room?
I'm hoping it would be any
momentarily.
second. We're on the hot spot right here. Any minute, Skip. Just keep hanging on there. Mike Walsher is with me, though, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about some of the stories he's been covering tonight. Michael, thank you.
I thought I'd step in and help you out, all right, my
Great.
partner. All right. You know, on that point, and to answer Skip's point earlier, I talked with a couple of people who are have good contacts inside the Republican Party, and they say the Durenberger people have been tracking what they need to do in certain places, as we have on Channel 4, and they're very confident by what they are seeing. The votes are falling in place where they should be falling in place, and they think they will have a narrow margin of victory. As you say, lots of smiles. I can't help but be struck by the contrast in mood to some extent from now to 4 years ago. 4 years ago, the Minnesota Massacre occurred, in which the Republicans swept the 3 statewide offices. Rudy Boschwitz won that year. Dave Durenberger was elected to Hubert Humphrey's old Senate seat that year, the seat that he's trying to defend tonight. Governor Al Quie took over from Rudy Perpich after, I think, 10 or 12 years of DFL dominance of the state governor's mansion. And tonight, Wheelock Whitney goes down to defeat. After 4 years, the Republicans have had the State House, and Dave Durenberger has been in a very, very tight race. So the mood is quite a bit contrasted to 4 years ago.
Well, and it will be even better in just a moment, Michael. We have some new figures, and those new figures are showing Durenberger pulling ahead even further. 60% of the votes are in right now. The margin is maintained, but that's up from 56% that had been counted just a few moments ago. So Durenberger is maintaining his margin over Dayton at this point, and as the votes roll in, it looks, although I guess you still have to couch it, more and more like he may have a victory here tonight.
We are still waiting. He is supposed to walk in this door at any moment. So until he does, I think he's being given a long, nice introduction at this point for all of the people who have gathered throughout all points in the Thunderbird Hotel to see Senator Durenberger, wherever he may be. You can hear the anticipation. And he's here. Late but great.
Okay, folks. Okay, folks. Kathy Anderson, one of many, many people whose lives Dave Durnberger has touched. Kathy, you have the honor of presenting our honored guest at this moment.
I love Durnberger!
This represents all the small businesses in the state of Minnesota. Dave Durnberger helped me 2 years ago, and if it hadn't been for his help, I couldn't have made it in business. And I've been saving this hard hat for 2 years for his victory tonight.
Such a quiet crowd I've never seen. Well, thank you very much. Penny wanted me to remind you that it's getting late, and we still haven't heard from the other end of town. So, but we have been hearing from the voters of Minnesota. And I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is that CBS was wrong in their projection. And the good news is that it was really, I think, going to be more like 54 to 46 rather than the 51 to 49. And the other piece of good news is that we're planning to go to bed, which has, well, what I'm trying to say is that the hour is very late, and you all look like you could use some rest. I know you've been having a great time tonight, but it's pretty clear that the rest of the votes are not going to get counted until later in the evening or earlier in the morning, so that we may have to delay the rest of our celebration for some time tomorrow. But before I finish, besides saying thank you to Kathy and to all of the many small business people in this state and all the farmers and everybody that has been part of our life for the last 4 years, I want to say a special thanks to 4 people that were up here earlier in the evening. Wheelock and Irene and Loris and Nancy Krennig, 4 really beautiful people that tried to tell this. And they made a lot of predictions during the course of this campaign that you probably are going to see come true, and it is going to be a tough state to govern for the next 4 years. And while we're saying nice things about people, there are a couple of other people that those of us in this room ought to recognize for what they have done for the party this year. They don't happen to be standing up here now because we had another election earlier this year, but two really great Minnesota Republicans from whom we hope we're going to hear a lot more in the future, and that's Lou and Jane Wongberg. Well, I don't know whether we're all going to be together in the morning, and I can't see them here, but I want to thank you for helping in this campaign. Thank all of you, the 10,000 volunteers out there and the 30,000 plus contributors and the great Republicans in this state. I particularly want to thank the people that gave me my start in life, George and Isabel Durnberger. I think they're back there someplace. Oh, there's Isabel. And And Wheelock said earlier he loves his mother-in-law. I love both my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, Louise and Ed Barron. They've been keeping an eye on our kids, and came in early this morning and went right to work on the telephone bank, and they've been working all day long on it. And three of the four boys are here. David's still down in Alabama someplace, but Charlie and Michael and Danny are here with us today, and it is a real pleasure and an honor to have been your senator for 4 years, and I think it's a distinctive.
We love it, Dave. We love
right.
it.
And it'll be a distinct privilege when I have an opportunity to acknowledge it, to be the first Republican reelected in this state in 30 years. And I just want to, on our behalf, I want you all to know that none of us could have done it without you, without all the work you put in, without all the work you put in on all those legislative races, the House races, the Senate races. There's some neat surprises coming up out there this election because of the work you did. Keep it up, and God love you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Saying he looks forward to serving as senator when he can acknowledge it, not if he can acknowledge it, when he can acknowledge it. Talking like the winner of this election. Live reporting from the Thunderbird Motel, I'm Ann Rubenstein. Back to you, Skip.
Thank you, Ann. I guess that'll wrap it up out there. Boy, he came as close as you can possibly come to acknowledging victory without acknowledging victory. Come to think of it, that's the mark of a good politician, being able to come close without quite doing it. Alan Cox for reaction now at Dayton headquarters. Alan?
Skip, no move here to announce a concession. Mark Dayton is still waiting in his room on the upper floors of the Sheraton Ritz, still analyzing the vote, still hoping that an overwhelming turnout in the Iron Range could overcome deficits in other parts of the state. A few moments ago, excuse me, Congressman Martin Sabo spoke to the crowd, and he announced sorry, Skip. He announced that one of the wire services, United Press International, has apparently declared Tim Penny the winner in the 1st Congressional District. That's quite encouraging for the state DFL. If I'm not mistaken, that would be the first time a Democrat has represented Minnesota's 1st District since sometime in the 19th century. Still standing by for further word on that, and still standing by for further word on Mark Dayton.
I would suspect, Alan, we probably won't hear now much more from Mark Dayton for the end of the night if Durenberger is going to call it quits. Has he given any indication he's going to come down or just call it quits for the night and decide in the morning?
We've had no word that they were going to call it quits for the night. They had said that they were going to have a further word at some point this evening. And earlier there was even some discussion of flying to Virginia, Minnesota at 2 or 3 in the morning to join Rudy Perpich. We'll just have to wait and see what the plans are.
I hope you're not hanging on the wing of that plane at that point.
I don't intend to be.
Okay, thank you, Alan, very much for some very good work. Well, no matter how it comes out, Mark Dayton can be proud. A year and a half ago, nobody in the state knew who he was. A multi-million-dollar advertising campaign and a whale of a lot of work made it close, made it an interesting Senate race. Dave Durenberger, the apparent winner at this point, but neither side quite willing yet to fully acknowledge the whole thing. And certainly until a few more votes are in, I don't think anybody can for sure predict, although CBS did it many hours ago. We'll know in the morning from both candidates if we don't hear something further tonight. If we do, we'll let you know just as soon as we know. We will now rejoin CBS Night Watch, which is in progress. Good night.
If you're an employer, you're probably used to playing the hiring game. You start your business in a good location. You build up your workforce. You look for good workers, people with initiative and drive. You give them a chance to grow, to advance, and to help the company prosper. Did you ever think you might be leaving somebody out of the game? People who need to work. Older women. Women who've been homemakers for years, but now must move from housework to paid work to support themselves and often their families. Displaced homemakers are mature, reliable, eager to be trained, or to translate the skills they've used at home into skills you can use at work. Take a second look at workers who will be valuable in your labor force. Older women. Don't keep them out of the game. Meet them.